was, okay. Alrighty. Yeah, I want to go back to ADA. Beware, Kevin, I'm the ADA coordinator here, so are you
I'm right up on that.
You know where I'm coming from, don't you? You said NDOT today.
Talked about that too.
They're out doing their thing. Okay, so let's talk ADA with regard to the highways situation. All right, because that's where this is where ADA entered our lives. Not so much in buildings and stuff. It came in as NDOT says we're not going to get, there's no federal money if your ADA plan is not up to date. And so I think our first question was, what ADA plan? So I think Julia probably told you we had another group come to, actually it was a cold call on their part, really, it was a cold call. And so we got a quote to check the county to make sure that from the road perspective that we are the ADA compliant. And why don't I allow you to introduce yourself if that's okay?
Sure.
Because Julia's out in California somewhere.
Yeah, she's
soaking
out
up the
vacationing.
sunshine. Yeah, that's right.
And
So,
she texted me this morning at 5 o'clock my
Thank
time.
you.
It had to be something like 2 or 3 in the morning. Her time. She woke up and said, "Oh my gosh, I forgot. I got to tell you about this." and
oh
this."
yeah, that sounds like her. That sounds like her.
Okay. Yes, you're correct. NDOT is making a big push, actually made a big push last year, for all of the LPAs to have a transition plan, that's what it's called, in place by the end of 2012. And what they said is that they're going to start pulling names out of the hat for people who received funding in 12 and who will receive funding in 13. And if your LPA gets in the fishbowl and just gets unlucky or lucky, however you want to put it, they call your name out and they come knocking at your door and say, "Show us your plan." If you have no plan, they say you get no money. And so that's their carrot and stick.
Can I just ask you who they are in the context of your
NDOT.
Okay.
And this is it's handled through their EEO group, Latasha Haynes.
Latasha. Okay. Okay.
Is my prime contact with her,
Yep. Okay.
with them.
Okay.
Excuse me. What does a plan consist of? Now, some of this may be duplicate for you.
I'm learning. I'm learning here. Boy, am I trying to get up to speed here fast. Okay.
The first element is you. That's the ADA
ADA
coordinator.
coordinator. Yep.
Okay. And on your shoulder rests the world, because you're in charge of everything that involves it. So, first, there needs to be a notice adopted by the local agency that is, and strongly suggested that it's posted on your website. That is considered to be a widely disseminated vehicle for getting information out. Notice is essentially saying y'all are going to follow the ADA law and will not discriminate based on any disability. Sometimes within that notice, there's also some peripheral information regarding coordination for the ADA community, advance notice if they need some specific attention at one of your public meetings, that type of thing. The third step is a grievance procedure that is adopted. Grievance procedure is essentially a formalized procedure of what happens when you get a complaint, the time period that you have as the coordinator and as the body to review that complaint and respond to it. The next element is an inventory. The inventory is of all facilities that you own, not just highways, but any facility that you as public agency own and take care of that has public areas or places where the public can be is welcome into. For instance, if you have a fire station and one of the rooms in there is a public meeting room, the Lions Club holds their meetings or whatever. Any parks that the county controls. If you lease a building, that's not your responsibility. is the responsibility of leaseholder. Sidewalks. Generally speaking, those would be in your unincorporated areas that you have jurisdiction over, and non-state routes. Any state or U.S. route, NDOT is responsible for that right of way. And herein kind of lies the gray area, because there's a lot of unincorporated areas, towns, have no sidewalks. How small do you go? What do you do if you have an unincorporated area with 10 houses? Well, the law says if you've got some destination or even a cluster of houses that if a person with disabilities wants to traverse along, that it's your responsibility to provide that. Now in Indiana, for years and years and years, generally speaking, sidewalks were considered the responsibility of the property owner. Under ADA, they trump that. So that's something important to think about. So your inventory needs to look at sidewalks, missing gaps, problems, tree roots have heaved it up wherever there's a joint of, I think, an inch or better. At intersections where you need to have ramps that are current standards, as well as inventories of buildings and parks. Once you have that inventory, you also, as part of that process, need to cost up the deficiencies so that you know how much the bill is going to be to fix it, okay? And then from there, you develop a prioritization plan of what do you want to do first, and over how many years do you want to look at trying to get this stuff brought into compliance. You develop then, the next element is a financial plan to meet that goal. How are you going to pay for it? What monies are you going to use? The good thing about the feds at this moment is they don't say you have to have it all in compliance in 3 years. They don't have any time frame. They just say you need to have a plan. And so that's the aspect of it. So,
But you have to show you're working.
oh yeah,
inside
you can't
the
just
plan,
have a
though.
plan and then put it
No,
over here
you gotta-
and not do anything with it.
You got to show.
If you think of it this way, if something terrible should happen to somebody with a disability, they take their motorized scooter and they go down a driveway and out into the street to go across an intersection. Or they're pulling over a panhandle, and this is no joke, and they get hit, okay? You didn't have an area for them. You have this plan. So you're one step above not having a plan. But if you haven't done anything with the plan, if you haven't started on any of that stuff, get your checkbook out and start writing checks with lots of zeros, because that's what's going to probably happen to you. Courts don't look favorably on agencies that thumb their nose at the law. So, having said that, do you have to put $1 million a year at this? No. Because you got to balance that with all the other needs that you have. And with property tax caps and rising costs, you're getting it from both ends. And somewhere in the middle is you got to find money for this unfunded mandate. Okay? So that is very much a personalized issue for each LPA as to how much money they want to spend. How you go about doing this is not only directly doing it, either by county forces or by contract, but any project that you do, certainly any resurface job that goes on in an area where you need to do some ADA work, you ought to incorporate that at the same time. If you're doing a federal aid bridge or federal aid road project, you will, by definition, have to take care of it in that project. Developers that may come in, it's not so much for counties, but in cities, developers that come in and develop are responsible for putting in sidewalks across the frontage of their development. You get them at that point in time. So there's a number of ways that you go about getting this done. It's just that you gotta formalize that process, and that's the key word, is formalize the process. You may be doing a lot of the steps already, but you just don't have it documented in some type of formal process. And then every 3 years, you're supposed to update this plan. So not only do you need to implement it and start doing something, but you need to keep track of something that's happening. And Don, that becomes your job, is to keep track of however many things you do, whether they're restrooms in park buildings or ramps or sidewalks or whatever the accommodation is done, you keep track of that. And in 3 years, you come through and say, okay, what's changed? What's changed in the law? And where are we now in that aspect? And then what have we done? So we can chalk off our list of what we've taken care of. And that, in kind of a nutshell, is what an ADA transition plan is.
Questions that I'd had was, who is the ADA police? And it appears that the grievance process is the police. There is no one, there's no,
Outside of NDOT pulling your name out of a hat and coming and knocking on your door. Nobody
didn't.
actively.
and it's interesting that they didn't mention that the other day.
Okay.
These are the questions I asked of them the other day, and they didn't mention that part. But I said, who's the ADA police? And the complaints, it's strictly generated by complaints. There is no state organization outside of Latasha, and I assume she's an NDOT employee?
Mhm.
Right. So I ask about a lot of things that we've done is right. This building is correct. Okay? This building, to my knowledge, is totally ADA compliant. Where's my piece of paper that says it's ADA compliant?
There's where your inventory comes in. helpful.
That's right. You have no, you
Somebody-
have nothing.
Yeah,
You
that's right.
have nothing. The other question I had, and I'll be interested a bit, I'm interested in your answer to this. As the Whitley County ADA coordinator, am I responsible for the incorporated towns of Churubusco, South Whitley, and Larwell?
Incorporated?
Incorporated.
Only, because they're not your jurisdiction.
Well, that's exactly what they said too, but I was given some bad information that as the Whitley County ADA coordinator, you're in charge of everything. Okay, I'm only in charge of the unincorporated portions.
The only
county.
thing that the county has jurisdiction over.
Gotcha, okay, and that's what it was too. So those are kind of the main points that I had to get clear through my head. And then, so why don't you kind of tell the group here what your company can do for us?
Essentially, from A to Z, we can help you write the notice. We can help you with the grievance procedure. Both of those are pretty standard. I mean, that's a 15-minute job, quite honestly, unless you want to really tailor it.
Okay.
We do the inventory. We rely on an architect to help us with the building stuff.
Can I stop for a second? Right there, because the question came up, can we provide our own architect as long as they're ADA, and the answer is yes, and Lucas is, as a matter of fact, Lucas is ADA architect, so, and First Engineering doesn't have one on staff.
That's right, we
Yeah.
subcontract.
So that's how we handle that particular part, so.
One element I forgot to mention is you develop a draft plan, and then you take that to the public for input as well.
Before you have a public hearing, you just
Public.
advertise you're having a public
Yep.
hearing. Can that occur during the commissioners' meeting?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Depending on how active an ADA community you have, we may invite them to come to the table as we're developing the plan.
Sure,
and-
absolutely.
And have them give us some input on their particular
Sure.
things. In some cases, that's good because when they come in and work with you, they find out kind of what the ground rules are, what you can do and what you can't do. For instance, if you have a hospital on a state route, and one of their complaints, is that there's not accessibility to that hospital. You can explain through this process, that's not your jurisdiction, that is the state's jurisdiction. And they have a grievance procedure, so you are more than free and encouraged
Okay.
to file with them your grievance.
And by hospital, you're referring to a county-owned hospital.
Well, let's take it a step further. Say it's a private hospital
It's a not-for,
or a not-for-profit.
right, okay,
You
yeah.
can explain to them that
Yeah.
your jurisdiction ends at your right-of-way.
Okay.
And that while they
Right.
may have issues on their property, that's not something that you control
I
or
got you.
responsible for, nor will be covered
You
in
did,
this plan.
you did just describe that situation here. The hospital is bordered by a federal highway and a state highway, and they're a not-for-profit organization. So Whitley County has nothing in that campus, okay?
But by virtue of meeting with these people, some of these issues are brought to light, because they'll have a wide variety of issues. And by saying, okay, this is what this ADA transition plan means, what our jurisdiction, what our responsibilities are, what other people's responsibilities are, and then that way, when you get to the public hearing, and somebody sticks their hand up, say, why don't you have ramps on da-da-da-da street? Okay? They become your ally instead of a potential thorn.
Right.
Because there's a lot of times we'll say, okay, where are there people that need services? Okay, what types of facilities? One I didn't think of till I started. Drugstores. Okay, how do I get da-da-da-da to the drugstore on my little scooter? Because there's where I go to pick up my prescriptions. And in some cases now getting flu shots and shingle shots. Okay, I didn't think about that, you know. So there's areas that they know where there's some problems in getting access to, and they can bring these to. One of the things that you look at in setting up your priorities is need. You know, where is there need for this? And certainly you want to look at places that have potential need or have recorded need, documented need, as one of your first areas that you want to put attention to. You know, so that input helps in the prioritization process as well. So anyway, we handle the public hearing.
Okay.
We do the inventory, we do the cost. We will work with you to develop a financial plan. The call on how many dollars a year you want to put forward is totally yours. We work with that knowledge. You just say, tell us what you want, and we'll put it in the plan. I had one community, they had $2.5 million in liability. And I'm making the presentation of the draft plan to their town council. And he says, gosh, you know what, we got this bond, $5 million bond, it's just coming off. We could bond for this and do this all in 5 years. And I said, yes, you could, but let me tell you something. You will never be 100% ADA compliant. Get that through and into here. So it is strictly your decision as to how you want to approach this. But I would take a cautious position because this stuff changes. It's hard for us, we also do road design plans, okay? It's hard for us to keep current on that aspect of it. NDOT changes their standards, which come from the federal standards. There for a while it was monthly. I mean, it was getting to be a sad joke. So, if you want to be aggressive, you can. I just tell you that in 3 years, you may have 75% of what you thought was done, and now some of those ramps aren't compliant. So, what have you achieved? You did them, now they go back on the list to be done again. And as stewards of government money, the public's money, I don't know if that's the best way to attack that. So these are the things that we give you advice on, but the dollars that you put in, and it might be a range. You might say $5,000 to $25,000 a year, for instance. You don't have to put a number. But the number comes from you guys. And so then we do the draft plan, we hold the public hearing, get the public input, see what comments are said, again, working with you. Done, we adjust the plan in accordance with the comments we've received, come back with the final plan presented to the council for adoption commissioners. So we do all of those aspects. We do subcontract out the architect. It don't make any difference to us who we use. You know, if you guys have got somebody that you've been working with on some of your buildings, that would probably help cut down the cost of doing the inventory, because he already knows a lot of that stuff. So that'd be fine. We can do any, all, or some parts of it. So if you want to provide some boots on the ground to do some of the inventory, we'll give them guidance as to what they need to do, give them the forms, and let them have at it. So it's pretty flexible kind of thing. what we found out is agencies that have full intentions of doing that, when it comes down to the time of doing the inventory, it's hard to spring somebody